Going. I'm Frank Comito with the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association, and today we are pleased to shed some light on the Turks and Caicos Islands as part of our Caribbean Tourism Fireworks series of fast-paced destination spotlights aimed at providing insights into reigniting tourism in the Caribbean. This summer, we have seen a phased-in return of tourism in a number of Caribbean destinations. This has been sparked certainly by the need to get businesses back operationally, but also to get employees back to work, and for the governments in the Caribbean to begin to generate the tax revenue, which is so important to provide essential services, particularly during this difficult period, with tourism being the lifeblood for the economies of destinations throughout the Caribbean. Likewise, industry data is showing us that there is a significant portion of consumers who are anxious to travel again. Some now, but a surprising number are searching and booking for the period from December onwards. So we also know that they are telling us that health safety is top of mind in making their travel decisions. With that, travelers and potential travelers are being afforded the opportunity to select from a number of Caribbean destinations. This morning, the spotlight shines on one of the most incredible destinations in the region, which really has legitimate rights to claim that they have the most beautiful waters and abundance of beautiful beaches in the world, the Turks and Caicos Islands. So we have with us this morning a who's who from the TCI tourism industry, who also happen to be great advocates and supporters for the Turks and Caicos Hotel and Tourism Association. Let me introduce them to you. I'll name them all real quick. So we've got the introductions out of the way, and then we'll just dive right into it. Joining us today is Stacey Cox, the CEO for the Turks and Caicos Hotel and Tourism Association. Todd Foss, who's president of that association and CEO for the Grace Bay Group of Companies. We're also joined by Nikhil Advani, the COO and principal for Grace Bay Resorts, who is also chairman of the association, and Karen Witt, who's vice president overseeing the sales and marketing operations for the Hartling Group and first vice president for the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association. So we'll start with brief overviews by Stacey and Todd. Please know that this won't be a one-sided conversation for the media joining us in Zoom, and if we can get the Facebook Live sorted out as well, you can submit your questions via the Q&A box. If by chance we're able to get this onto Facebook, please post your questions by using the hashtag Caribbean Tourism Fireworks. And as moderator, I reserve the right to interrupt any of our presenters with questions. So Stacey, give us an overview of what the CCI has done and to get ready for visitors. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Frank, and thank you to the team over at CHTA and all the persons who have allowed us to enter their space with some updates from the Turks and Caicos Islands in a COVID-19 environment from the perspective of the Turks and Caicos Hotel and Tourism Association. Now, like many other Caribbean islands, the economic impact and fallout to the membership of the Turks and Caicos Hotel and Tourism Association, by extension the Turks and Caicos Islands, has been detrimental. In late April and early March, having an occupancy of about 80% in most of the properties in the Turks and Caicos Island, we saw somewhat of a slow leak from like a 5-gallon bottle of water. And when the decision was made to close our borders at the end of March, we saw the entire bottom of that bottle fall out. Revenue from the island quickly disappeared with jobs and the freedom of movement around the island restricted. The destination reopened its doors to international arrivals July 22nd, with a soar of arrival numbers from then to now, with many properties holding an average of 11 to 15% occupancy. Because we're in such a fluid environment, we expect to see changes on the status of Turks and Caicos Islands on a regular basis through although all of the industry remains cautiously optimistic. Our government has done somewhat of a remarkable job with setting the protocols for our residents and visitors alike and updating the community in a timely manner, while things continuously change as we develop in a COVID environment, in a COVID-19 environment. From the beginning to date, the relevant authorities have worked closely with CHTA, CAFA, CTO, and other agencies to ensure that our protocols are in sync with regional and worldwide standards. In an extremely fluid environment, our government continues to pivot on decisions in the best interest of our residents and locals alike. So I want to share briefly a slide presentation, not so much with data, but just to remind you of all the wonders and beauty of Turks and Caicos. And I want to add also that with a population of 40,000, we have seen less than 1% confirmed cases of COVID in the destination. And although this again is fluid, we remain cautiously optimistic as we move forward in this environment.
Stacey, let's be clear too. When did you open up? And yeah, just to let the group know when you opened.
Our opening date was July 22nd.
Okay.
So Destination Turks and Caicos, again, just showcasing the beauty of Turks and Caicos Islands from the Turks and Caicos Hotel and Tourism Association's perspective. Sorry here. Sorry, I just want to share. That's all these technical difficulties this morning, right? Here we go. Are you seeing the screen?
Yep. That looks like your governor, is it? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So entry into Turks and Caicos Islands. We have, through our Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Health, have established a Turks and Caicos Islands assured program where negative COVID PCR tests have to be uploaded, medical insurance that covers medevac, a complete health screening questionnaire, and all persons should have read the policies and accept those. The standard protocols from around the region continues on the island, the wearing of face masks, the washing of hands as we continue to work in a fluid environment. For any information.
Where can I find this as a traveler or as a tourism partner, as media? Where can I find this kind of info?
Great question, Frank. All of this information and any questions that one might have can be found on www.turksandcaicostourism.com. Okay. It's on our tourist board's website. Mm-hmm. Here you'd see some of the preferred insurance companies that the Ministry of Tourism has established for any visitors coming in, although if visitors have their own insurance, they can very well use those as well. Again, the criteria is that it includes medevac. Island protocol continues, social distancing. We have a saying on island, social distance, wash your hands, wear your mask, in our colloquial terms. But our members have done an outstanding job both in their respective properties, restaurants, and establishments. In adhering to the protocols, you would see that beach chairs are adequately 6 feet apart, persons are wearing their masks, and washing station or hand sanitizing is also available in all establishments.
So from that photo, I can wash my hands and feet right on the beach. So,
absolutely, Frank.
So do I have to wear a face mask on the beach?
Once you're social distance, 6 feet or more, from other persons, you don't have to.
Okay.
So we want to share with you that the properties at this very moment that are not open. Beach House, Blue Haven, Beaches, Turks and Caicos, Club Med, Pine Key, Parrot Key, Northwest Point Resort, Hollywood Beach Suite, the Waimara. A lot of our villa members are open. Restaurants and activities, especially surrounding the water sport, continues, and people are really adhering to the protocols and enjoying many of the outdoor activities.
So you're listing the ones that are not open. How many hotels are open right now? I mean, roughly in TCI.
So, roughly, we have about, within our membership, we have about 21 hotels that are open.
Okay, so the majority of hotels are open.
The majority of hotels are opened, although again, occupancy is low. We're optimistic and we're looking forward to we're optimistic. Any uptick that's possibly out there, We have, and through this slide, you would see that this is the flight schedule for September. Our members continue to have conversation with their travel partners to remind them of the beauty of Turks and Caicos. We're excited that our local carrier, Inter-Caribbean, has branched out extensively throughout the region, allowing for regional travel or dual package vacations for many who are vacationing in our region. And although we see the arrivals from international flights are minimum compared to what we're accustomed to, we're excited about the new connectivity through the region.
So from a staging point of view, many people are saying that the Caribbean early on can also take advantage of intra-Caribbean travel. So with the connect that you have with Inter-Caribbean Airways, which is based in I think they started out maybe 20 years ago when they only covered a handful of destinations, and now how many destinations are they covering in the Caribbean?
I am not sure the exact number, Frank, but I know that it's extensive, especially in the last month. They added Grenada, they added a few others, Barbados.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
I guess what I'm hearing here is, in addition to the international carriers that you have listed there, you have Air Canada there. I'm not seeing your UK connection yet, but you can tell me about that in a second. But you also have this network and connection within the Caribbean. That's a bit more than most destinations can claim, because of Inter-Caribbean Airways also being home base and hubbed in Turks and Caicos.
Absolutely. So our direct flight from, not direct, sorry, the hub, they would stop in Antigua before they get to Turks and Caicos. So that has been discontinued for the month of September, August, September. But the connectivity, like you alluded to, with Inter-Caribbean has been amazing for the destination, which allows for, like you said, that interregional travel. It also, and most of the Caribbean at this today is speaking about the safe bubble. And once you're able to have the necessary documents in place, as per the protocols of the Turks and Caicos Islands, we welcome visitors from around the region.
Good.
Okay. So I'd love to share with you a message that we delighted in from our governor to all of our visitors recently.
If you're a tourist, let me say TCI was designed to cope with COVID-19. Our wide open beaches are somewhere that people can socially distance on the busiest of days. Our condominium offer that helps isolate families as they wish. And our large discreet hotels have never stacked our tourism offer high nor sold it cheap. We offer quality. We're the most beautiful destination in the Caribbean, bar none. We were designed to provide our guests the perfect escape from 2020. Our beaches are soft. If vitamin D and outdoor life is good for you, we have it in spades, and our seas are warm. It's been fantastic this week to meet those of you who came here the moment you could. You are very welcome, and we are glad you are here. As a country, we will know, I think, by Thanksgiving, after the hurricane season, and with an eye to bookings over the Christmas period and beyond, what our immediate future looks like. But there is no question, our long-term future is assured, not by the softness of our beaches or the perfection of our translucent seas, but because of the true quality of our people and the resilience of our culture.
So,
Excellent.
I mean, when he speaks to, the environment of Turks and Caicos, the secluded beaches, the vitamin D from the sun, he just pretty much says that we have that in spades. So lots and lots of it. And the true resilience of Turks and Caicos is really our people and the community that comes together in times like this.
And the incredible serenity that just falls on you as you get off the plane, as soon as you arrive, and then when you go to those amazing beaches. So we do have a question from Melanie from USA Today. Good morning. Hi, Melanie. she's basically, she's based in Montreal, so I know why she's asking this question. She's saying, Good Friday morning from the sunny island of Montreal. Can you comment on the flights from Canada? Are flights from Montreal scheduled yet or from YYZ only? Update please on Parrot Key, Como. Thank you.
Thanks, Melanie. Great question. Thank you for joining in. So greetings to you from the sunny islands of Turks and Caicos. At this point, the only flights that we have are the ones that's listed on the slide previously shown. We have no other updates, and that's for the month of September. As you know, or may not know, everything is fluid at the moment, and every other day I'm asking the airlines for any type of updates that we can share with our members, by extension persons like you once requested. Parrot Key at the moment has suspended all arrivals for their properties with no public date to be at this point of their, no public date that we can share at this time.
Okay, very good.
So I just end this presentation that pretty much says life needs the Caribbean as Turks and Caicos needs you. And we just want everyone to stay safe, and that we really, really miss having you here.
Very good. Thank you so much, Stacey. And at this point, we're going to turn over to Todd. Todd's the president, volunteer president of the association. And I remember when I was last in Turks was, I don't know, maybe 9 months ago or so, just too long ago. Todd and I were talking, and it became very clear to me that one of his passions as individually and also coming in as president was in human resource development, education, training, and those kinds of things. And I know I've been really pleased to see how the association under Stacey's stewardship as well over the past 5 or 6 years has really morphed into a lot more focus on developing the people, chefs, all that kind of stuff. It's great stuff. So Todd, tell us a little bit, give us some insights on what's happened in the industry there to prepare the people. Also a little bit maybe from your perspective, because you're not actually you're one of the big hoteliers like we got here with Nikhil and Karen, but you also operate a car rental company and a few other kinds of services. Tell us how you guys have coped as well.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. Thanks for the opportunity. I look forward to your next visit, and also thanks to all those joining us today.
And I want a good discount on my car rental next time. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we, you know, it was interesting. I don't want to take us all back to March and April, but when our island shut down, you know, we are the second most reliant country on tourism in the world. The first being Macau, which is a gaming country. So, you know, in terms of sun and sand, we are 85% gross domestic product reliant on tourism. So we were all, you know, panicking. It's like, closing us down, what does that mean? And, you know, if you can remember back to those times around the world, there lots of confusion and everything changed every day. And, you know, I can't say anybody in the world knew really what was happening. I'm not sure we still do yet, but we were literally scrambling to how do we buy masks and what do we do here and this and that. So what we did know, though, is because of our reliance on tourism, we knew that we had to open up at some point. And of course, we wanted that to be as soon as possible, but obviously in a safe manner, both for our guests and for our employees and for residents of the island. So we got together day in and day out, and we tried to figure out what that meant. And what we realized is that, you know, our luxury destination, we needed to come up with some way to provide a 5-star luxury ease of coming to Turks and Caicos once we reopened. So the Turks and Caicos Hotel and Tourism Association, along with some of our larger resorts and other members, we actually developed what I think is a really cool tool for our guests coming to Turks and Caicos. And it's a website and an app. It's called TCISafe.com. It's live on the internet as a website right now. And it was designed for the reasons I just mentioned, so that we could inform in a clear and concise manner to our guests around the world how they could meet the requirements of our government and do so in an easy manner. And so one of those requirements was insurance, and it was a specific type of insurance. In fact, we had to go to the market and find it and make it actually bespoke to our nation. And that was because we are a small nation, and our healthcare system, you know, we didn't want it to become overwhelmed in case of an emergency. Right now, we're doing really well. But we thought that if we could, you know, if we could welcome guests here, but if for some reason, statistically so low, that they, you know, that they had symptoms or got sick, we could, you know, fly them off in the 5-star manner that they're accustomed to. In fact, private jets in this case. So that was an important insurance product to allow our guests to return home safely and deal with any sicknesses or symptoms in their homes, and not, you know, not come into our healthcare system and take up beds. And I think guests really responded to that well. But we had to find a product to offer that incredible type of coverage. And then the other, as we know, you know, we require our guests to come into the island with a negative COVID test. And that was looking pretty smooth at the start until, you know, America, and especially Florida, which is one of our main hub cities, Miami, started testing high, and that put a burden on the testing labs in America. So it made tests coming back later and later. So we needed to overcome that obstacle as well. So Frank, here's what we did. We created this TCI Safe. We clearly outline on it the expectations and requirements of our government. And then we give tools to our guests as to how they can easily meet those requirements. So you can purchase your insurance right on the website. You can also book your lab to be done in America. How it works is we've established a partnership with a lab in America, and they'll send you at home the kit, but it's not a home kit. It's a kit that gets sent to your home, and then you go to your medical practitioner. It could be a nurse, could be a doctor, and they actually administer the kit for you at their location, and they sign off on it. Put it in
Is that a PCR level test?
Yes, okay. Exactly. Mm-hmm. In fact, we're rolling out a VIP service where this company will actually come to your house, do the test, leave, and then send your certificate back to you within 48 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and we have this in Miami now, the VIP service, but we're trying to roll out the VIP service to all of our hub cities over the next.
And what's the cost for something like that? I mean, I know cost isn't an issue for many of your travelers because you guys really appeal to well-heeled folks, but they're also always looking at costs as well. So, but what? I'm just curious. What's the cost?
Yeah. So, well, to give you an idea, the VIP service I talked about, where actually medical professionals come to your house and do the testing, is about $300 a person. Mm-hmm. And I think the more people in your family, the less that fee gets. That's but then right. The actual test itself, I think, if you administer yourself, is under the $180 mark at some point. Okay. There. So, you know, relatively affordable, as you say, considering your vacation to Turks and Caicos.
And a quick turnaround.
Very quick turnaround.
That's
yes.
The concern that most people have out there, and I think that's why you changed your testing window from 3 to 5 days, and we've seen that throughout the entire world where people have had to compromise on testing just because of the turnaround time on results. But you guys have tapped into a service that can help to overcome that for folks that that's important to, or they're a little bit more spontaneous on their travel decision. Hey, let's go away this weekend, and they make that decision the Monday before or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing a lot of the spontaneity. People are waiting till last minute. We have lots of last minute bookings. Our trips are tending to be longer. So if you're going to, you know, travel these days, you're not going to do it over the weekend trip from New York, as many of people did in the past. You're going to come for a longer stay. So we're enjoying our guests for a longer period. But overall, TCISafe.com was meant exactly like you said, Frank, so that people could make the decision and then meet the requirements and get on a plane within a few days of their decision-making process. So we're really excited about it. It also is great for our members of the Hotel Association, because what we've done with the technology is we've kept it simple. Once you register, you get a QR code, and eventually what will happen is all of our members will have their own business QR code. So Frank, if you were here today and you had Frank's QR code, you could go out for supper and you would check in to that restaurant, and it might pop up their menu for you, so you don't have to have a touchy-feely menu. But it would also, with your volunteerism, it would tell you and all the other people that had been in that restaurant during that certain period of time. So the idea was for us to convince government to open up. So one of the ideas was to create a sort of a rudimentary, but an exposure tracing amount of data that we could give our health department that would give them at least a head start on contact tracing should anything happen. The other cool thing is,
I guess you follow all kinds of privacy protocols within and everything, so that that guests.
Yeah. Well, actually, it took about 10 weeks to develop this through an American company, and I think most of that time was spent developing the privacy and the protocols for data information collection. Which
this is fantastic. I mean, there's very few destinations in the region that are doing this. I know a couple that are working on it at different levels, but this is pretty good and great.
Well, Frank, should any other destination want something similar, want to learn more about it, we're really happy to share it around the Caribbean community, and it's easily adaptable to any country around. So we feel it's a great tool for our guests and our members, and we're looking forward to advancing it further and developing it. And then later, I think, for just in terms of talking about Hotel and Tourism Association, it's going to be a great legacy, because it can, after COVID, it can be adapted to a lot of different marketing and promotional ways. So we're pretty excited about it.
Well, Stacy and Todd, how does I mean, the TCI Safe is something that you guys have homegrown, and it's a great tool and resource. We also hear of something called TCI Assured. What's the difference there? I mean, we don't.
Yeah, so let me tell you how they partner. So TCI Assured is the government initiative, and that's where our guests have to download their insurance policy and their negative COVID test. And then TCI Assured, the government sends them back a clear ticket to travel to Turks and Caicos. So, and no fault of their own, we know that governments aren't, they're not geared up to 5-star marketing and luxury layouts. So we wanted to help them, and we wanted to, again, provide our guests clarity, ease, and so forth. So if you go on to the TCISafe.com first, you can get all the information you need, and eventually, once your insurance is purchased and your test is taken, then you would go on to the TCI Assured government portal and get your pass to come to Turks and Caicos.
Okay, very good. No, this is good stuff. Now, we do have another question out. Thank you, Todd. We do have another question out there on airlift, which we're going to get to shortly, but I also wanted to pull in our other two folks and get some added perspective, and then they might be able to chime in on this other question about airlift from the UK as well, that Adrian from Just About Travel has posed. But let's get some added perspective from our two hoteliers, Nikhil and Karen. Between you represent how many hotels? I think Karen is representing 3 of the incredible hotels. That's all I can say. I've stayed at 2 of them in Turks and Caicos. And Nikhil, how many? You're representing how many?
We've got 3 as well.
3 as well. And so my guess is you probably represent about 30% of the room inventory in Turks and Caicos. So we're talking to the folks we need to be talking to. So, I mean, tell us what about what you've done to get to be ready, to ready your properties to open, and how it's been going.
Karen, why don't you go first?
Okay, so I'm going to start first by just acknowledging the media on the call today, because really and truly through this whole time frame, you've been our lifeline. And we want to thank you, not just for being here today, but you've been with us every step of the way through all the challenges, and you continue to make us look good. And, you know, we just really love you. I can see some of you, Melanie, Sarah, Adrian, Ian, Stephen, and DeAndre from Turks and Caicos is here with us as well. I'm not sure who the other caller is because your name is not listed, but, you know, we are so grateful to you, and we're just honored to call you partner. So I really wanted to start by the shout out there. And let me just say, you've been hearing standards, protocols, you know, procedures, cleaning, sanitizing. But for us, the exciting thing is on July 22nd, we open our borders. And so now we have the ability to dovetail all of that excitement, all of that energy, all of that, you know, resources into action. And so really today, I wanted to just take a moment and talk about experiences, right? Because we have very positive feedback so far from the guests who are with us on the island. And we've taken a lot of time to really canvas them and find out how they're feeling, what was the process, you know, what did you have to go through, how are you feeling now that you're here? Because undoubtedly on both sides, there was so much nervous, really nervous energy. You know, we didn't know what it was going to be like, those first tourists stepping off of that plane and into our hotels, into the new norm. They were nervous, and they took a leap of faith by joining us here, by getting on the plane and coming here. So I'm just really thrilled to say that the destination is doing so well. It's a true testament to the efforts of the government, the community working together hand in hand. We have, you know, our set of protocols and standards is not unilateral. It's not one company, one resort. It is countrywide. And so we've taken the time to try and get it right. And there's nothing more joyful for me than to see how comfortable the tourists are, how happy they are. They're going back with glowing reports. TripAdvisor is flooded now with positive comments. So it just demonstrates to me that we can do this. We can do it together. What seemed like a daunting task to blend a high-touch destination that has become famous for, you know, our service levels, our experience, our product. How on earth do we take that and modify it with all the new standards, all the new protocols, all the new attitudes that you have to have in order to operate in this environment? And so again, the greatest testament to the whole thing is just the feedback from our tourists, which has been amazing. The other thing that I wanted to say, just to touch on a little bit, in addition to what we are doing as hoteliers, both Nikhil, myself, and our other colleagues on the island, what's really important to us in Turks and Caicos is a sustainable community, right? So it's not just about attracting visitors to come into our hotels. We also have to give them some level of confidence that they can go into the community, into the restaurants, into the excursions, into the retail shops around and feel comfortable, because that's the only way we're going to jumpstart this economy. By
How's the population responded? How have your employees responded to this? Because in some areas we've been told that there's some fear about travelers coming in and so on. So how have you guys prepared and responded to that?
So Frank, you know, that is a great question, because you're right. There was an amazing, when I say nervous energy, you know, is that fear factor of the unknown. And there was a lot of fear associated with this. You watch the media throughout the world, you know, and it can cause you to become a little bit paranoid, right? So you're not sure. But I think because, again, I'm going to go back to the outstanding job with the standards, the protocols, the procedures, the way, you know, it's not just a tactical shift, it's a behavioral shift that we had to do. And so I think a lot of those pressures and those tensions were eased when we welcome those first visitors. And the visitors are also doing a very good job following the protocols. You know, they're wearing their masks, they're keeping their social distance, they're doing all the things that we need them to do to keep our community safe, to keep themselves safe. So I can tell you that, you know, I wouldn't say that no one is afraid or that no one has concerns, because we all do. We're dealing with such an unknown situation that it's impossible to be finite one way or the other. But what I can say is by doing the right things, by having the right mindset, attitude, and protocols, you're setting yourself up for success. And a lot of those fears have been mitigated just by opening the border. And, it's amazing to see, again, the happy responses, the smiling faces, people being here doing what they need to do on a holiday vacation. They're enjoying the island and they're having the type of experience that they expect.
Sure. And certainly the population is, as long as their health safety fears are allayed because of training that you've done, because of the protocols that are in place and so on, that helps quite a bit. But also they've got to be happy to see some money coming back into their pockets as well. That's basic. Nikhil, you've been quiet, but we're going to pull you out now. What's going on there?
So I think I agree with what Karen has said. This is a community effort. And, during this whole time, when we closed, nobody knew what was happening. And so we communicated and communicated. The press has been awesome, but also our travel partners and our guests, they had a sincere concern for our staff, the community, and Turks and Caicos, because when you've been coming here for a long time, you've bought some real estate, there is this bond you have that is more than just, oh, I've come here, I'm going to go here, I've come here once. They've built relationships over years. We have a strong repeat following all over the resorts and the community. So there was a lot of concern. And I think what we did do well as a hotel association is to communicate. Things were changing so often. So what we communicated this week might be different from what we communicated next week because we were learning new things. And I think that's the thing we did. And talking about staff, some of the staff were worried. There's no doubt about it. I did a roundtable social distancing, and it was a big mix of staff. And we said, hey, how are you feeling? And half of them said, we want to restart the economy. We've got to do this. We need some money because, we couldn't give them full schedules. They were on partial schedules. And the other half said, wow, this is scary. We don't know. And so it made us think, and that's how we structured our HR communication and training. They had to feel comfortable that we were taking all the steps just as much as the guests needed to feel comfortable. So did the staff. So a lot of our efforts went into that. And again, the TCHTA was so instrumental in providing some of those best practices. And we communicated and met almost a couple of times a week to share this. And we've learned that as we open the doors, as the guests come in, they're telling us, this is good, this is great. Hey, this one I'm feeling a bit odd. Let's change it up. So with the operational teams, we are tweaking stuff every day. For example, breakfast in the morning, we decided we'll do a la carte. A la carte worked. Maybe there were some items that we served. That worked out well, but at 9:30 when there was 80 guests, that was difficult to do. So we had to tweak it. So I think we're learning, we're open-minded. We are ensuring that we're communicating with all whether it's our staff, whether it's the guest, whether it's the region, to learn best practices and to do that. So I think it's been a good start.
Being at one of your properties, I think we had dinner maybe, I don't know, at one point, but it's so wide open and outside, but you're also protected with some cover and everything, but it's a very broad open area. So you can create that kind of sense of safety while you're also allowing people to enjoy the flavor of sitting by the sea and being out in the open.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of the Caribbean. We have a lot of outdoor dining. People love it. There's a lot of space. So I think that's a benefit for the Caribbean. And that's why people are feeling pretty comfortable coming back. And they didn't realize how easy it would be. As Karen said, you have these fears of getting into a plane. How's it going to be when you land? In fact, one of the comments was, I sanitize 6 times at the airport, maybe too much, but it's never too much at times like this because there's stations all around. Everybody's following the protocols. So I'm feeling excited about it. I'm cautiously optimistic. There was a question about Christmas. The good news is we're getting a lot of calls. Again, there's 50% of our guests that I believe need more confidence. They want a vaccine or they want to know what the processes are. The 50% that are traveling now, really, it's really nice to see that there are 2 groups of people. And the ones that are traveling now have tested it out. They're posting it, giving confidence to the other 50%.
Percentage of folks that really want to travel. I mean, but they want to travel knowing that those health safety assurances are there. That's the key thing. So
Correct.
one more question from me for you, from Nikhil and Karen, and before we go to a couple of questions from some of our other attendees. The TCI's hotel model is different than most destinations with a high percentage of condo hotels. So does that differentiate you from the point of view of your appeal and ability to attract travelers? You mentioned repeat visitors and you get the loyalty factor of that. But I know most of the places I've stayed in TCI over the years have been fully equipped. So if I needed to make sure that you know, grandmom's along with me on the trip or whatever, and she doesn't want to go downstairs and have breakfast, or she wants to minimize her exposure to any groups, even though you guys have put protocols in place, I can cook her a little breakfast, or I can have something there or whatever. I mean, do you think this differentiates you and gives you an added advantage as you're out there in the marketplace?
Frank, I think there's no doubt about that. That having these larger suite configurations, having the facilities in the suites to cook, so they have options. I think luxury is all about options. You know, if you feel comfortable going down to the bar, that's great. You know, there'll be all the social distancing that you need and the sanitization while you get there. Some people just want to sit on their deck and have that same experience. So we'll have our mixologist send everything to you. You can mix that cocktail, be on your own private deck, watch the sun go down, and have that sense of security. I think right now it's about providing trust and a peace of mind. It's not about the money. It's not about all these other things. But if you have trust with your guest and your staff and the peace of mind, the condo model works really well. Now, the other benefits on a financial side, because there are two products that we offer that are complementary in this condo model. One is the residence piece, which is where they can come, the owners come, they pay a strata, and one is the hospitality piece. So even though during the time of lockdown, the piece of the hospitality had to be stopped for a period of time, the condo owners were still paying their strata. There was an income, and that helped balance the financial side. So I think this model has shown some resilience, and it's really good.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's
I would
interesting.
just add to that. I would add to what Nikhil said. Also, the villa product on the island. We probably have more private, individual luxury villas, you know, certainly per space than anywhere else in the region. And that's also another very desirable product here. We have villas at Shore Club. Nikhil's property has villas. You know, many of us now are getting into that. And this week I was on a call with a bunch of travel agents for a different conference, and that seemed to be one of the big key selling points, was that people now are interested in these private villas. And what it does when they get here, then they can decide. And undoubtedly, I think they're going to feel confidence once they're here, but they're looking for, as you said, the space, the wide open space outdoors and the more space indoors.
Okay, so Sarah had asked earlier, and I think you're implying that in your answer, that if visitors are free to explore the islands.
Oh, absolutely. And we, again, as I said in early on, you know, sustainable community is critical to us. So we want you to get out and explore, but again, minding those protocols. You have to wear masks, you have to social distance. You know, that's really critical to the success of it, of course, but absolutely, yes.
So I'll add,
go ahead, Nikhil. Go ahead.
Frank, I'll add one thing. TCIsafe.com is your guide while you're on island. Where can you go? Where is it safe? What are the protocols? It's always updated. It's instantaneously updated. So use TCIsafe.com.
Super. And now you have, like, I think it's like 9 islands that you can travel to in Turks. If I come into Providenciales and I want to go to Grand Turk, or I want to go to Parrot Key or whatever, do I have to go through some health safety hoops and loops to be able to get there? Or once I'm in the jurisdiction, I can go anywhere?
Yes, once you've arrived in Turks and Caicos through the main entry, you can go anywhere. And actually, through Ambergris Key, they just, I think, got authorization for to be established as an international airport, so persons can fly their private jets directly onto that island. We have members in South Caicos.
You get a lot of private aviation stuff coming in.
Absolutely. I think we're like third in the world for private jets, and we've been seeing a lot of that since we've been open. Lots of private jets in and out of Turks and Caicos. But once you've entered the port with the requirements as per government, you can go into South Caicos, North Caicos, Middle Caicos, and all the other islands.
That's excellent. So can you comment on flights from the UK? And this is from Adrian, from the UK, and the reaction to the UK's decision to add TCI to the UK's don't fly list. There's a tough one for you.
It is a tough one. Obviously, it's disheartening to see that has come out based on, I guess, the number of COVID cases that we do have on island. And, you know, like I said in my presentation, everything is fluid, and it's one of those things. Our biggest traffic to the UK at this time of year is the local community going back to school. We don't have a high UK market in the Turks and Caicos yet. So we're looking to massage that market in the next year or two. So that has been devastating to the island's reputation, obviously. And again, the biggest traffic we have in and out of that region right now is our students commuting back and forth.
Well, you got to get the governor on top of that one.
Absolutely.
So I mean, one of the things that I know that we're seeing, and it's globally, I think it's happening in the industry, we're seeing an unexpected higher number of people booking for the winter next year than we thought we would see. In this far in advance, usually and some of that I think is prompted by certainly people having time to search and look around, but also right now you can get some good airlift deals yet, you can get some good hotel stay deals and so on if you book early. For the resorts that are open, how are your booking stats looking for holiday winter travel?
Frank, I'll jump into that. I think they're looking good. They're looking healthy. I'll say this, you know, there's always a question mark. Will people change their mind if their situation changes in the future? But right now, 2021 pace is looking strong. I think, as you said, people have time. There's a pent-up demand. They feel that in a couple of months, they would have got back to work, or something, that they'd have some balance in what they're doing. I think everybody's looking for some level of sense of balance or sense of peace. So I think it's still questionable because things might change in the different regions, but they are reaching out. Christmas space, for example, past week has been a virtuoso booking week. We've seen a lot of questions, a lot of requests. So I feel reasonably confident in that. Having known that things might change tomorrow, today is looking good.
Good.
And I would say, you know, to add to that, the region in general is very attractive right now. You know, the dynamics of the open air, the warm weather, you know, and the accessibility.
Proximity has always been our advantage too.
Accessibility. And so we're seeing a lot of people diverting their long haul plans, switching to something a little closer to home. You know, it's still a great holiday vacation. And, you know, they're just avoiding some of the longer trips for now. And so I think that's also helping us for first quarter.
Very good, very good. Grand Turk is open for tourists at this time as well, right? Yeah. Okay, that was another question we had. So any further final comments from any of you, or questions that you might have that you want to throw out that someone didn't ask that you thought you might want to have asked before we wrap up? This has been enlightening for me, and I'm sure it's been enlightening for our listeners, and we're going to make it available as well. It'll be available to the media in a broader way. We'll be sending out a recording of it as well. So it's always great talking to you guys from Turks and Caicos. Even though Stacy's from the Bahamas, she represents TCI very well.
Cheap shot, Frank. Cheap shot.
Frank, I'd just like to say that right now, anybody contemplating coming to the Turks and Caicos Islands, it couldn't be a better time. If your dream was to go to Disneyland and have, instead of 1 million people at Disneyland, only have a couple thousand people at Disneyland, so you don't have to line up, you don't have to, now is the time to come to Turks and Caicos, because the #1 beach in the world has hardly anybody on it, and
Okay.
it'll be all yours if you come down now.
Oh, I can't wait. I just got to buy my private jet to get down there. No, I'm just kidding. Plenty of ways getting down there. So that's fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Turks and Caicos Hotel and Tourism Association, the team at CHTA, and today's organizers, Marketplace Excellence, thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for details on our next Destination Spotlight. I want to thank all of our panelists for their great insights and thank the media for being such great advocates and communicators for the world's greatest tropical paradise, the Caribbean. And for more news and information, we invite you to follow CHTA on Facebook and join our mailing list by emailing us at membership@caribbeanhotelandtourism.com. As the world looks for relief during this most difficult period, we remind you that there's no better place to refresh, renew, and heal one's mind, body, and spirit than the Caribbean. As Stacy said, life needs the Caribbean. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.